bracket, two players at 5-0-1 squaring off to maintain their not-so-perfect records.
I hope they draw. I would love a pair of 5-0-2s, and then intentional draw the last round of the day, going in at 5-0-3, which is the equivalent of a 6-2.
Yeah, the first draw, kind of whatever, doesn't feel great. The second draw, pretty miserable. Players underway here. Harvey on the play. I think that's the Urza's Tower Mine into Chromatic Star versus Sakura Tribe Scout on Forest.
Yeah, going to be using that green mana here with a Tron land. Looking for something like Ancient Clerics to use the mana, but just churning through the deck regardless.
Urza's Power Plant's the second land. Going through with a Chromatic Sphere, and now deploying Expedition Map with that floating mana.
Yeah, he has the ability to hit Tron on 3, but not full-blown Tron on turn 3.
And we'll go to Matthew Dilks. Untapped with that Tribe Scout. He can start advancing his mana.
Taking a peek here, there's a lot of one-ofs. Dilks does have access to one copy of Ghost Quarter in his main deck that if he uses a Talaria West, he can potentially find and run that effectively for the blocks to keep Dom Harvey off of Tron. But he's going to do some ramping here with an Azusa and go all the way up to Primeval Titan mana on turn 3.
Pair of Gemstone Mines after that Scout activation. Azusa lets him play 2 Simic Growth Chambers, picks up both binds. Next turn, Titan mana at the ready.
Yeah, and what Dilks can do is actually like tutor up Boros Garrison and Slayer Stronghold, but he doesn't have the Amulet of Vigor to bring them in untapped, so we might need to do some like bounce land tricks with the extra land drops from Azusa in order to get that Titan attacking next turn.
Harvey now untapping with 2 Tron pieces and a map, but he needs a big turn pretty quick.
Oh, for sure. What he could also do here, Dilks, next turn he could Primeval Titan and a bounce land off the Primeval Titan with a Ghost Quarter and use that to blow up one of Dom's Harvey's lands, and that could set him back for Tron for at least one more turn, maybe more.
Blast Zone will be land number 3. So not setting up Tron just yet. Cast a Chromatic Star and pass his turn. Setting up for maybe having 8 mana next turn. Could be an Ugin, perhaps.
Yeah, that might be the play. Kind of disguising maybe what he has going on, because if he just main phases the Expedition Map and plays the land, you know, that actually gives away some more information for Dilks on maybe what to tutor for. But Amulet of Vigor off the top, and Dilks here might be going for the kill.
Yep, Amulet of Vigor, 2 Gemstone Mines play. There's Primeval Titan, and Harvey knows the script from here.
Yeah, this is just a lot of damage coming in. And at the very least, Dilks is actually going to get 2 copies of Ghost Quarter activated on that turn, blowing up 2 of Dom Harvey's lands, and that was a quick game 1.
Now players are going to reach for their sideboards. Dominic Harvey now down a game on the mono-green Tron side of things. He has 4 Leyline of the Void, 3 Veil of Summers, 3 Nature's Claims, 2 Thrag Tusks, 2 Dismembers, and an Emrakul the Promised End.
So from Dom Harvey's side, I think you want some ways to contain Amulet of Vigor because those draws are the ones you're going to have a tough time beating. So I think Nature's Claim can definitely come in, but none of these other sideboards really seem like they make much sense. Maybe the Emrakul the Promised End, but I doubt you're going to have enough time to get all the way up that high.
All right, for Matthew Dilks, he has a Grafdigger's Cage, a Hornet Queen, a Ramunap Excavator, a Reclamation Sage, a Tormod's Crypt, 2 Force of Vigors, 3 Path to Exile, 3 Spell Snares, or Spell Pierces rather, an Engineered Explosive, and a Field of the Dead.
Wow, a really interesting sideboard here from Dilks, a whole lot of one-ofs, and that is to be expected when you play cards like Summoner's Pact and Talaria West. You have a bunch of these little tutor packages, including even some number of Trinket Mage in the main as well. If I'm Dilks, you need to look at ways to potentially blow up lands. I think Ramunap Excavator goes really well with that because you can replay Ghost Quarter from the graveyard. But it is important to know he does only have 1 copy, so he needs some way to tutor it up as well. Reclamation Sage and Force of Vigor might be decent at dealing with some of those early artifacts like Expedition Map to really slow the Green Tron down. But I think the card that Dilks probably wants most is actually going to end up being Spell Pierce. I think Spell Pierce is a pretty good card against Mono Green Tron, and especially if all you really care about is stopping a turn 3 Karn.
Yeah, it definitely lines up nicely there. And if you like Todd's insights here, you can catch him Tuesdays and Thursdays on this very channel. Well, actually,
not for long.
You'll be leaving Versus Live, but the show does go on. Corey Baumeister recently added to the cast. Ross Miriam, a mainstay.
Yeah, and of course, I heard some rumors that they might be trying to look for another personality to add to the squad, so keep an eye on that. But for now, every Tuesday and Thursday, 1 p.m., myself, Ross Merriam, and Corey Baumeister, we just go through the most recent events as well as play our own decks against each other just to see how the matchups play out. It's a whole lot of fun. We also field questions from Twitch chat. It's very interactive and a good time.
That's right here on twitch.tv/SCGTour. What'd you play this week on Versus Live?
We did a lot of Modern this week. We actually did roulette twice, where we had 6 decks. We each spun a wheel, and we got a deck at random, which I think is pretty good Modern testing, because you don't always like to play the linear deck versus the interactive deck. Sometimes you got to showcase exactly what Modern is about, and that's 2 ships passing in the night, just like, waving to each other as they try to cross each other's finish line.
It's really important when you're preparing for a Modern tournament to play against a wide range of decks.
Agree, completely.
Maybe you play against a lot of decks you don't expect to play against. Maybe you don't play against any of them at the actual tournament, but you're always tightening up your mechanics, getting a better feel for how your deck needs to approach maybe matchups where you're not even interacting as much.
Right, and even though you might not interact in the same types of ways, there are a lot of kind of crossover elements between archetypes and Modern. So if you play against a ramp strategy, some X card might be really good, and then that card might also have some viability in another matchup, and you kind of more so learn your own deck as opposed to learning any one given matchup. Harvey here having a serious think. Probably means mulligan. With the London mulligan rule, it's pretty easy to mulligan with Tron and find it for turn 3.
And Tron also just a deck that historically mulligans a lot. I think the most disciplined Tron players mulligan a lot more than newer players to the deck.
Oh, for sure. I know the one tournament that I ever played with Tron, I probably did not mulligan nearly enough, and kept a lot of kind of slower hands, I suppose. Maybe like a couple of Forest, Urza's Tower with a couple of Chromatic Stars or whatever. Get that trash out of here. Just give me turn 2, Sylvan Scrying, double Tron land, turn 3, Tron, Karn.
Harvey keeps. Dilks is going to be on a mulligan. Matthew Dilks, a player who's had a very impressive year here on the SCG Tour. Last year, played 7 opens, 2 top 8s, all-time 8 top 8s.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of success this year actually playing those team events. I'm not sure if those are actually counted or not. I'm not really sure how those were. Oh, he had 2 last year, and he has 6 this year. That's right. I was just misreading it. But he has 1 individual finals, I think, and then 5 team top 8s with
the team of Daryl Ehlers and Edgar Magayesh. They really put on a clinic at those events.
Yeah, I believe they have top 8'd every team event this year except 1.
And we are underway for game number 2. Harvey will start on Forest Ancient Stirrings.
If you're Dilks, you got to love seeing that.
Finds there's his power plant, but yeah, this does not possibly make turn 3 Karn. Forest Sakura Tribe Scout for Dilks.
Now you might think, oh, Ancient Stirrings is a significantly more powerful card than Sakura Tribe Scout. Well, let me tell you, in this deck, this Amulet Titan deck, a Sakura Tribe Scout that does not get checked on turn 2 is going to run away with the game. That's an extra land every single turn. And when you have bounce lands that act as effectual 2 land drop, or 2 lands combined into 1, Sakura Tribe Scout just gets unbelievable.
Turn 2 play for Harvey is going to be Sylvan Scrying, finds Urza's Tower. Looks like he might have a hand that very easily has turn 4 Tron.
Right.
But you still saw a lot of hesitation there because turn 4 is sometimes not fast enough. And this could be an issue. Dilks has Amulet of Vigor to go with his Tribe Scout.
Now, we have Amulet of Vigor. We also have a bounce land here with Simic Growth Chamber, but I don't think that he has the ability to go off just quite yet. Now what he can do is next turn, not play he can play the bounce land and bounce it, and that allows him to do some really dirty stuff.
Dilks to 22 off of a Kabira Crossroads, so he's going to use the Scout, puts in a Simic Growth Chamber, picks itself up. That gets him 3 mana for a Trinket Mage, finds a second Amulet.
Yeah, and this one might be over before it even starts. Dom Harvey doesn't have turn 3 Tron, can't really interact with the lands too well. Dilks found a second Amulet of Vigor, and we all know what one Amulet of Vigor does in these Amulet Titan decks, but a second one lets them go haywire.
Yeah, if he already has the Titan, just with the Tribe Scout, he has Titan mana. Doesn't take much more to get to work with the Amulet. With the second Amulet, with the Tribe Scout, that's a ton of mana as well, so he'll be able to cast both of the things very easily.
Yeah, now the question becomes, does Dilks actually have the Primeval Titan or Summoner's Pact to get Primeval Titan?
There's that Urza's Tower for Harvey. Expedition map is cast, so yeah, here's that clear avenue to turn 4 Tron.
Dom might have a Nature's Claim here, and that could slow Dilks down a little bit, but we're just going to have to see.
Yeah, Nature's Claim on the first Amulet, so Dilks will go to 26.
Now what that means, though, is if Dilks plays an Amulet here for 1 mana, the first land for the turn is the bounce land. That produces 2. It bounces itself. Scourge Tribe Scout puts it back into play. It only produces 2 more. That's only 4. So he doesn't quite have enough mana here to cast a 6-drop. He's going to need something else. Another Amulet or something. Maybe a Lotus Veil.
We'll find out exactly what he does have. But Harvey checking that Amulet seems to have gotten him through this turn. Here's that Amulet that the Trinket Mage found, replacing the first for Dilks.
I did say Lotus Veil, didn't I? I meant Lotus Field, the new one from Modern Horizons.
The legal one.
Yes, the one that doesn't have... oh, it's in Core Set 2020, my apologies.
I understand how you would make that mistake on multiple levels. It feels like a card that would be in Modern Horizons, and those sets basically launching right on top of each other. Here's another Trinket Mage for Dilks.
All right, so we used 1 mana to cast the Amulet. We floated 2 from a Simic Growth Chamber, used that to cast Trinket Mage. So now we're getting the 3rd Amulet of Vigor out of the deck. We played our land for the turn, but we can still activate Scourge Tribe Scout, float 2, bounce the Simic Growth Chamber back to hand, and play the Amulet. But we can't go off this turn. We're going to probably have to wait until next turn to go full tilt.
Yeah, looks like a layup once again. But once again, next turn looks really scary.
Now Dom, though, he might have bought himself the required amount of time to get something down, but a Karn Liberate here is not even all that backbreaking. You know, effectively just becomes another disenchant on an Amulet of Vigor.
Here's activation on Tribe Scout. Simic Growth Gamer shows up, makes 2 mana, returns to Dilks' hand. Floating green used to cast Ancient Stirrings. Blue still in the pool. Presumably just going to cast the Amulet with that. Finds the Celestial Sanctuary off the Stirrings.
Yeah, and he can use the other mana to play the Amulet. Gets an attack in for 2. Not something you see the Titan deck do too much is attack with these utility creatures, but without any blockers on Dom Harvey's side of things, and if he has a bit more interaction, that chip damage can start to add up.
Yeah, the Gray Ogre beatdown, likely not the full plan here. Ooh, this is a nice find for Harvey, though. We have Tron online, and there's Oblivion Stone with activation up. He's going to fire that off right now. It takes care of that Tribe Scout, both Amulets, and both Trinket Mages.
That was exactly what Dom needed there. He needed to have the natural Tron piece. Couldn't afford to crack the Expedition map to do it. And now Dilks is in a world of trouble here.
And it looks like that Nature's Claim on the first Amulet might have bought Harvey exactly as much time as he needed.
Nope, 7 mana here, 8 mana. Might be an Ugin.
See, this is a spot where the Karn would have been really good. The Ugin is at least a win condition.
Yeah, and it does get up to ultimate pretty quickly, so we're going to shoot Dilks for 3. Next turn, probably going to shoot him for 3 again, or shoot one of his creatures if he has one. And then we can do the ultimate on Ugin, where we get to draw 7 cards and put up to 7 permanents onto the battlefield.
So Dilks to 23 off of that Ugin activation. Plays Kabira Crossroads up to 25.
Yeah, but that's not, your life total doesn't really matter here. Dom Harvey's coming really close to this ultimate, and while it's not game breaking, it does pretty regularly win the game.
7 looks for a Karn to destroy that bounce land. You don't mind that.
Oh, for sure.
Here you see the Spirit Dragon from Fate Reforged, talking about that -10. You gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, put up to 7 permanents from your hand on the battlefield. Chromatic Star cast and cracked.
And in a deck like Mono Green Tron, often, you're putting upwards of 20 plus mana worth of permanents onto the battlefield, or just a bunch of lands that produce mana as well.
Sylvan Scrying cast for Harvey.
Yeah, it goes and gets the Ghost Quarter here. That's a pretty heads up find. It's going to slow down Dilks by a bit. The Ugin's going to tick up, do some damage. But it looks like he's just going to go Worm Coil instead.
Ugin will turn up to 11, Dilks to 22. There's only 1 Amulet of Vigor left in Dilks' deck.
I guess we just drew.
Was it Amulet of Vigor?
It was the 1 Amulet of Vigor, but I don't know if he has a way to actually cast the Primeval Titan this turn.
Yeah, he's shy on mana. He has 4 right now. He goes down to the 3 for the Amulet. A bounce land only gets him to 5.
Yeah, and even a Zusa, I don't think nets enough with the bounce land. If he has Amulet and a Zusa, and he goes triple bounce land, that is enough to cast Primeval Titan. But he needs exactly those 3 cards: Amulet, Azusa, Primeval Titan.
Simic Growth Chamber play. He's going to pick up the Kabira Crossroads, but just passes with that 5 mana up.
Yeah, and you cannot untap fast enough here if you're Dom Harvey. Let's go ahead and ultimate Ugin the Spirit Dragon. See what cool permanents we get to put onto the battlefield.
Ooh, and he just has a Karn naturally as well. So he has Karn, plus still has Ghost Quarter untapped, and Dilks sees it. That's a lot of Stone Rains. We're going to game number 3.
Yeah, not only is it a lot of Stone Rains, but Dom Harvey actually had the wrap there. I'm pretty sure he had a Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, but Karn plus Ghost Quarter was more than enough to seal the deal. Dilks just a little bit shy on mana almost every single turn. The Nature's Claim early on, followed by that really key Oblivion Zone on turn 4, which is a little too much for Dilks to handle.
So these are decks that have been mainstays of the Modern format for some time. Maybe Amulet Titan a little bit more obscure. Mono Green Tron is probably a deck you'd expect to find weekly at your local SCG game night. Every week in July, we're giving away the Down Undead.
Down
Undead tokens and sleeves.
That's more of a, I think we've been over this. I think that's a South African accent. I don't really know that,
I just work here, man.
They're similar. Down Undead.
Down Undead.
It's like, the rock monster person from Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, that's a South African accent.
Okay. I was kind of going for an accent like Rocco on Rocco's Modern Life.
Right.
Yeah.
More cartoony.
He's a dingo, which I believe are from Australia.
I've heard that they are, just going for the baby right there, right?
Yeah, so there it is. And you can check out those tokens and sleeves at go.starcitygames.com/game night.
Of course, Down Undead is the newest member of the Creature Collection. Love the Creature Collection for Star City Games. New one every single month. Always got cool names going on. And you get to see basically the full art from the Down Undead sleeves where they're running from a zombie koala. It's coming at you.
Scary stuff.
Is that koala carrying a magical hammer? Is that what's going on?
I believe that to be the situation.
All right. Well, sure. I'm sure there's something I'm missing there from like Australian culture. Maybe the fighting zombies with a magical hammer or something.
A fairy tale I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, it's cultural. But if you're watching this from Australia, good morning. Or afternoon, who knows? It's like 16 hours difference, I think.
G'day.
Good eye, mate. See, that's an Australian accent.
Dominic Harvey, player who had a really strong start to Season 1 here on the SCG Tour.
Oh, yeah.
So he kind of just showed up this year for the first time. 3 open top 8s with 2 wins. Starting off relatively strong in Season 2 here. You're the player that had an early lead in the points race Season 1, did not end up qualifying for the Players' Championship just yet, but definitely somebody to watch here in Season 2.
Yeah, he's absolutely in the running with 2 wins already this year. Him and his squad actually were the opening winners in the first Open of the year, actually here in this very city, Columbus.
Yeah, with Bertarioni and Hobbs.
I believe it was with, oh man, Tarek Patel, actually.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about Season 1.
Yeah. Dominic Harvey won Season 1 Open here in Columbus with Tarek Patel and third member who I do not remember. Because they quickly fell off the leaderboard as Tarek and Dominic just crushed.
Yeah, my brain was on the wrong season. But yeah, Patel and Harvey really opened strong Season 1. Unfortunately, we will not be seeing Tarek Patel on Season 2. Some real life obligations.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you got to grow up.
I hate that.
Yeah, me too. I'm under the impression that you don't really ever grow up unless you have kids or you're evil. You know, like the super rich people who are actual grown-ups, evil.
I buy that.
If you have kids, you have real responsibility, you have people depending on you.
You got to grow up.
You got to grow up.
Right.
You know?
No one depends on me. It's great.
Yeah. You can be a kid. It's great.
I love it.
Love it. Harvey here, really taking on a mole. Or maybe it's Dilks' turn. I was too busy thinking about being a kid.
Yeah, we were on Matthew Dilks. He will be mulliganing here. Find out if Harvey can keep 7. In game number 2, he kept kind of a speculative one. Ended up working out for him, though. Had just enough interaction to set up Oblivion Stone and really take over the game from there.
Yeah, it was a turn 4 Tron hand, but it did have that early Nature's Claim to pop the Amulet of Vigor. And then the Oblivion Stone was key on the 4th turn to sweep up not only 2 more Amulets of Vigor, but also Secure Tribe Scout and a couple of Trinket Mages. And the way Dilks' hand kind of shaped out, he was never able to actually deploy land drops. He was trying to use Secure Tribe Scout and the 1 Simic Growth Chamber along with the Amulets of Vigor to generate extra mana. And when the amulet came down, it ultimately ended up just crippling his mana development.
I believe Harvey has now kept on 7. See if Dilks can stay on 6. With relatively recent adaptations to the Amulet Titan deck, you see these main deck Trinket Mages. Those are some nice tools to grind, but the Tri matchup is really one where you kind of just have to Titan quickly.
Oh, for sure. It does help you play an early Amulet of Vigor, but it's more in there for consistency than speed. And like you said, the speed is what matters more than anything. Like Dilks here, you know, he can go down to 4 cards if he wants to, and as long as it's the right 4 cards, you know, he has a pretty good chance of winning. And the way the London Mulligan works, he gets to pick the best 4 from every single hand. And if he has Amulet of Vigor, 2 bounce land, Secure Tribe Scout or whatever, you know, or land, bounce land, Secure Tribe Scout, something like that, it might be good enough. The bounce lands, you know, if you're just playing bounce lands as normal, they kind of function like a reduced mulligan every time you play one and bounce a non-bounce land back to your hand. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people consider original Ravnica draft to be one of the most fun, because the bounce lands helped mitigate mulligans and kind of generated virtual card advantage over time.
You definitely valued those very highly, even if one of those colors were not featured in your deck.
Absolutely.
All right, looks like Doug's considering keeping on 5, looking at which 2 to put on the bottom.
Yeah, we'll be on the play here for game number 3. These 2 mainstays here on the tour. Oh, maybe he's on 4? Maybe he is on 4. I thought he was on 5. Oh, man. This is a tough one. Looking at a hand with Secure Tribe Scout at the forefront. Really, really thinking about it. Knows he has to keep. Going down any further is effectively a death sentence, but already on the ropes with so few cards. Harvey did mulligan as well, so he's not fully stocked, but he kept on 6, which you have to imagine means at least turn 4 Tron, maybe turn 3.
And Dilks really giving this one a think. Got to be a lot of tension in this hand.
I mean, the games themselves aren't going to take too long, but we do expect the players to play at a reasonable pace. He actually did a switcheroo. He did mulligan to 4, but he was putting the cards on the table that he was keeping and not the cards on the table he was mulliganing. So 4 cards here for Dilks, and Dom Harvey has the answer for the Secure Tribe Scout early.
Yes, did not line up the way he wanted to. He kept Forest Tribe Scout, but Harvey there with the dismember off a Tron land. Amulet for Dilks, no second land. Second land for Harvey is Forest, but he does have Sylvan Scrying, second Tron piece to hand. It's Urza's Power Plant.
Yeah, and he did have the answer for the Secure Tribe Scout, which was nice. And it looks like Dilks going to play a bounce land for the turn, and that's going to let him play Azusa. Next turn he can generate up to 5 mana to potentially cast some stuff from his hand. Another Amulet off the top, and maybe he can cast Vermeil Titan.
Well, Azusa bounce land's just 6. You get to play 2 extra lands.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So he just needs the Titan. If he doesn't have it, he has 1 other card in hand.
And all of a sudden,
it's Summoner's Pact.
All of a sudden, Dom Harvey's in a bad spot.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Gonna need another Dismember. How many of those is he rocking on the sideboard? He has 2 of them. He'll Sylvan Scrying again.
That ain't it. I mean, he still gets to play the land for the turn, so if he has another Dismember for the Azusa, could be in okay shape, but that's a great find here.
Ghost Quarter.
Heads up play from Harvey, finding his Ghost Quarter to keep this degenerate Azusa bounce land draw in check. Dilks already on so few cards. Going to need a bounce land off the top to have any chance.
Yeah, Ghost Quarter will be the land for turn for Harvey. Saw him maybe thinking about another game action, but he'll hold off on that. Can't really afford to just let Dilks have a Titan here. So here's Growth Chamber, Amulet, trigger on the stack. Does Harvey Ghost Quarter here?
I think you have to. Dilks missed a land drop just a few turns ago. You have to assume he has no more lands in hand, or at the very least no more bounce lands in hand. And the Ghost Quarter is not going to get any better than this. Now he might have a Dismember here. And if he does, because he was kind of taken on 1 mana, and if he has Dismember, I think Dismember might actually end up being better than using that. But going to go ahead and pop the Ghost Quarter here.
So we still have a Growth Chamber trigger on the stack to pick up a land.
Right.
We see Forest found off the Ghost Quarter.
No, yeah, we have a Growth Chamber on the stack, but also, we can float a mana off the Forest before replaying it. So Dilks, if he has another bounce land here, can maybe still make a Titan, but...
Well, just picks up and replays the Forest. Attack for 1 with the Sousa. Harvey to 15.
Got to be a big sigh of relief if you're a Dom Harvey fan.
So we made it through that, but any bounce land now with 2 forests on the table, even Boros Garrison, does get Dilks to the Titan.
Sure, it doesn't get lethal though, but it's pretty close.
Oblivion Stone, go! 2 Tron lands on the table for Harvey.
And a Gemstone Mine is not what the doctor ordered. Just going to have to settle for attacking for 1. An Oblivion Stone here. If Dom Harvey untaps with Oblivion Stone, you got to imagine it's going to be tough for Dilks to really cobble together much of anything.
Harvey does need that 3rd Tron land to put the stone up. But here it is, Sylvan Scrying. Spell Pierce, though. Harvey can't pay.
Oh, no.
Redundant Power Plant Expedition map, so Harvey has the route to it next turn, but this is a window
Bounce
for
land?
Dilks.
It's a Colony Garden.
Wait, Colony Garden, that's 3 more mana.
It does not return a land to hand.
Ah,
The
you're
key,
so right.
The key to the extra mana generation is being able to return the land to hand. So you get multiple land drops with Azusa that float mana.
Confused myself.
Oh, it's okay. Like you're just like, old person walking around.
I thought all the ones
Walking
that
into
entered
stuff.
tapped return lands to your hand.
Oh yeah. Beer Crossroads bounce one.
That card would be really bad or really good, depending on what you needed.
I know there was a while where people were playing Crumbling Vestige because it tapped but generated an extra color of your choice.
Yeah, Dom Harvey was playing, I think, 4 of those in his Through the Breach build.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colony Garden, nowhere near as good as I thought it was. Just a plant token. So Dilks doesn't have actual Titan in hand. He has Summoner's Pact.
Yeah. He's taking it on if he wants to just like pact and then pay 4 next turn, but That doesn't really seem all that great. I mean, if you look through his deck list, which you can on the Cardboard Live extension, you won't really see a whole lot in the way of sweet things to actually go get. At the very least, not stuff that he would really want in this particular matchup.
So he fires off Summoner's Pact.
Ramnap Excavator could be a good one if he brought that one in. Reclamation Sage could be a nice hit.
So he's already played 1 land for turn. Yeah, Reclamation Sage is the find.
I'm not sure if he brought an Excavator, but if he did, you know, he could return the bounce land, but he wouldn't really have anything else to do, and I think that's really the major problem why he wasn't using it to go get that.
Yeah, the issue is it gets him to Titan mana at the cost of his Titan.
Right. Now, if he had a Ghost Quarter active or something like that, he'd be able to go ham on Dom Harvey's lands if he got an Excavator, but here he's just going to get Reclamation Sage, and now he has to choose between blowing up map or blowing up stone. Choose a stone, but that's going to let Dom Harvey get access to Tron this turn.
We'll see what he can do with that Tron mana as we go over to Harvey's turn.
A lot of expensive cards hanging out in Dom's hand.
Leaving up green mana as he activates the map.
Could mean a few things. Could mean Nature's Claim, maybe just another Sylvan Scrying that he might use at some point, or maybe an Ancient Stirrings to dig for something sweet.
Back up Oblivion Stone off the fresh tower. Dilks will pay for Pact. And he's on the beatdown plan. 3 damage, knocking Harvey to 10.
I don't think that's going to cut it.
Not against an Oblivion Stone, I'll tell you that much.
Dom here, 10 mana. What can he do? Question is, do you want to go ahead and blow up Oblivion Stone before doing anything else?
Well,
or you just cast Promise In?
This card's pretty good at cleaning up.
Wow, wow, wow.
Cymrical the Promise
Take your
In.
turn.
This card was really big in Standard before they banned it, so we haven't seen it so much in a minute.
Yeah.
But on this bonus turn, Harvey's going to control Dilks' game actions.
So we're going to tap that for mana. It's going to die. Zeus is going to attack into the Emrakul. And if I'm Harvey, I might actually just play the bounce land so that you don't get any potential extra mana from the Amulet of Vigor. But he has the Nature's Claim for the Amulet of Vigor, so not playing a land or the Secure Tribe Scout makes more sense. Now, Dilks does get another turn, but he just got decimated. And Harvey has a 13-13 on the other side of the battlefield that he's going to start chunking him with in a second.
And those leftovers are just no good. Here's an Ancient Stirrings. But he's kind of shy on Titan and Amulet currently. And
Yeah.
the find is Slayer's Stronghold. Not really making any inroads with that one.
Yeah, it's never a good look for the Ancient Stirrings. This game is almost wrapped up here. Dom Harvey got to put the finishing touches with a couple of attacks from a 13-13 Flying Cthulhu Man.
Cthulhu Lady.
Okay, that's right. Emrakul does birth.
That's a weird way to say it. Here's
I don't know.
Ugin for Harvey.
Words. Look, giant tentacle monster, okay?
13-13. This much we can confirm.
She chonk.
Dilks to 11. Ugin took down the Tribe Scout, and Dilks going to pick him up. Dom Harvey. 2-1 win in the draw bracket up to 6-0-1.
Yeah, and with 2 rounds left